In the heart of Ouagadougou, beneath the dim glow of flickering streetlights and the distant hum of restless engines, the world's youngest president stands before a crossroads that could define not just his own fate, but the destiny of a continent long scarred by exploitation and betrayal. I speak to you tonight not as a ruler, but as a soldier, as a son of this soil, as a man who has seen the faces of those who suffer and vowed never to bow to those who profit from their pain. The balance of power in our land has become fragile, yes, but fragility is not weakness. It is the tension before transformation. They whisper of Plan B, of secret plots born in foreign embassies and backroom deals, of traitors cloaked in suits and uniforms, who believe they can play God with our future. I know what they call me, idealistic, dangerous, unpredictable, but what they fear most is not me. It is the awakening of a generation that no longer fears them. Plan B, they call it, a term soaked in history's blood, the same playbook used against Lumumba in Congo, against Sankara in this very land, against every African who dared to dream of independence beyond permission. If diplomacy fails, they eliminate. If persuasion falters, they destroy. But this time, Africa watches with open eyes. This time, we write the story, not as victims of schemes written in Paris or Washington, but as architects of our own rebirth. The night they whispered of Plan B, I did not panic. I acted. Code Amber. Every checkpoint, every communication line, every soldier was placed where loyalty outweighed fear. In silence, our forces surrounded the capital, not as a prison, but as a fortress of vigilance. Every road, every convoy, every movement was shielded by a single truth. Our independence is not negotiable. They think coups begin with tanks. No, coups begin with words, soft, deceitful words offered by men who smile while counting the price of betrayal. I have studied this pattern my entire life. I have seen files marked classified that hide assassinations dressed as accidents, revolutions smothered in silence, movements sold for a seat at the master's table. But I am not Sankara's ghost. I am his continuation. I am his unfinished chapter. When I stand before the world and say, we are not afraid, I am not speaking for myself. I am speaking for every mother who buries her son under the weight of poverty that should never have existed. For every child who dreams of school but wakes to the sound of hunger. For every worker whose hands built this nation while others claimed the profit. They tell me to stay quiet, to compromise, to negotiate my nation's dignity for stability. But I tell them, peace built on obedience is not peace. It is slavery with softer chains in the chambers of foreign power. They call me reckless because I nationalize what belongs to my people. They say I am radical because I question the contracts that keep us poor. They say I am dangerous because I seek friendship where they have drawn lines. To them, my independence is defiance. My alliances with Moscow or Bamako are betrayal. My demand for fairness is rebellion. They forget or pretend to forget that Africa has bled long enough. They have forgotten that our minerals have fed their industries. Our gold has built their cities. Our silence has maintained their comfort. But the silence is ending. The youth in the streets do not carry fear in their eyes anymore. They carry purpose. When they shout my name, I remind them, do not worship a man. Worship the idea that no man should ever be owned by another. They tried Plan A sanctions, isolation, propaganda, but we survived. And now they activate Plan B. They talk of covert operations, of coups disguised as democracy, of transitions planned by those who never lived under our sky. They say they come to restore order. I ask, whose order? The one that sells our land for loans? The one that calls submission partnership? No, that order is dying, and they cannot accept it. Tonight, I speak not just to my nation, but to every African watching from afar. You know what it means when they say a leader has become too ambitious. It means he has stopped asking for permission. It means he has begun to understand the cost of freedom. When they say he is a threat to stability, it means he refuses to be a puppet. They said it about Lumumba. They said it about Nkrumah. They said it about Sankara. And they will say it about me. But remember this. History does not repeat, it evolves. What began as whispers in colonial corridors now spreads in digital shadows, funded by think tanks and hidden accounts. They use our divisions as weapons, our fear as currency, our hope as leverage. But hope, once awakened, cannot be killed. They can kill men, not movements. They can erase leaders, not legacies. Yes, I know the risks. I know betrayal lurks beside me. I see smiles that hide knives, signatures that hide surrender. But I also see the fire in our youth, the ones who no longer wait for aid, but demand opportunity, who build with their hands instead of begging for help. This is why I stay visible. Every time I appear before my people, I defy their fear. Every time I wear this uniform, I remind them that our dignity will not be outsourced. The same hands that tried to bury Sankara now try to bury his spirit through me. But you cannot kill an idea whose time has come. And Africa's time has come. They thought we would break. Instead, we united. Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, 3 nations, once divided by borders, now speak with one voice. The alliance of Sahel states was not born of politics. It was born of necessity. Together, we declared that our security would not be dictated by those who destabilized us in the first place. We decided that our resources, our soldiers, our sovereignty would no longer be bargaining chips. To them, this was rebellion. To us, it was rebirth. They respond with warnings, with pressure, with whispers of restoring democracy. But we know what that means. It means returning our minds to their corporations, our skies to their drones, our destiny to their hands. We have seen this movie before. But this time, the ending will be written in our language. Not theirs. In the nights that followed, I moved with caution. My circle grew smaller. My words fewer. I learned that leadership is not a crown, it is a target. But I am not afraid of being targeted. I am afraid of leaving my people unprepared. That is why my mission now is not just to survive, but to make survival unnecessary, to build a system that stands even if I fall. If a nation depends on one man, it is already weak. So we are building institutions, not idols. We are reforming the army, not to serve me, but to serve the Republic. We are rebalancing pay, standardizing promotions, ensuring that every soldier's loyalty is to the flag, not to a faction. Because when soldiers believe the system is fair, they defend it. When they trust their nation, they protect it. And when they see justice, they no longer sell it. We are also reforming intelligence. For too long, our intelligence agencies were eyes for others, not for us. That ends now. Every chain of command must report to the people, not to hidden masters. We have started audits, loyalty checks, and exposure of networks that profit from chaos. Some call it paranoia. I call it survival. I do not fear the label of caution. I fear the cost of carelessness. And to those who whisper that I am consolidating power, I say this. Power without purpose is corruption. But purpose without protection is suicide. I choose balance. Still, I know that guns cannot protect ideas. True defense is built in trust between the people and their defenders. That is why I call our army the People's Army. We are not above our citizens. We are among them. We share their food, their roads, their hopes. When a soldier sees himself as part of the community, betrayal becomes unthinkable. When a farmer feels the government listens, rebellion loses its roots. This is how we defeat COPs, not with fear, but with faith. They cannot overthrow a government whose people are its shield. And beyond our borders, we are expanding alliances not as clients, but as equals. To Moscow, to Beijing, to Bamako, we say, friendship, yes, but on our terms. To Washington and Paris, we say, cooperation, yes, but without submission. The era of invisible masters is over. We will not trade our dignity for loans. We will not exchange our sovereignty for aid. Burkina Faso may be small, but we are not for sale. They call this arrogance. I call it awakening. The old world order trembles not because of our weapons, but because of our will. The truth is simple. We no longer fear their disapproval. We fear only the loss of our own identity. That is why every reform I announce, every new school, every mine nationalized, every soldier retrained, is not an act of rebellion. It is an act of restoration. Restoration of pride, of control, of destiny. And yes, I know the danger grows. They meet in hidden rooms. They write reports titled Transition Strategies. They plan around baits, opportunities, windows of instability. They send whispers to our media, money to our opponents, promises to our traitors. But I have one message for them. The age of easy coups is over. You may buy men, but you cannot buy meaning. You may silence voices, but you cannot silence truth. And truth, once spoken by a united people, becomes a storm no empire can contain. So tonight, I do not ask for pity. I ask for patience. I do not ask for loyalty to me. I ask for loyalty to what we are building together. We may falter. We may bleed. But we will not bow. Because this story, our story, is not written in the language of submission. It is written in the fire of resistance. I am Ibrahim Traoré, soldier of Burkina Faso, son of Africa.